What makes Unix the most loved operating system? When I was thinking about the answer for this question, I was reminded about the words of my table tennis coach. When I approached him for improving my forehand stroke or my backhand smash, he said that before you learn all this, you should remember that anytime you hit a ball, it should always land at the center of the opponent's table. That was the guiding principle for me that I always kept at the back of my mind. It helped me win a few tournaments too. For Unix, what makes it so special and loved about are its underlying principles. Once you understand these principles, you will actually see them manifesting in the commands that you give for Unix. This way, when you use Unix, you will start realizing the real power of it. So remember, you have to first understand the underlying principles of Unix, and then you will be able to appreciate what it actually can do things for you. In this lecture, let's look at some of these important principles that guide Unix. By the end of this lecture, you should be able to understand the basics of Unix operating system. You should list out the features of Unix, and you should be able to appreciate the philosophy behind Unix. Let's first begin by understanding what is an operating system, or specifically, let's understand Unix operating system. Like any other operating system, Unix system too manages system resources. System resources like the CPU, central processing unit, memory, your keyboard, screen, printers, and things like that. Operating system is the software that makes us communicate and use these devices. Unix operating system provides a set of services. We as users can use these services to interact with the devices. The way to interact with these services is through a user interface. There are two types of user interfaces on Unix. One is the command line interface called the CLI, or the other being the graphical user interface, or also called the GUI or GUI. We can use these interfaces to provide commands to use the services that are provided by the system. You will be learning a lot of these commands throughout this course. Now let's look at some of the important features of Unix. The most important feature of Unix is that it is a multi-user system. Multiple users can log in at the same time to the same system. Each user is given a separate login and password using which you can have simultaneous access to the same machine. The next feature of Unix is multitasking. Multitasking helps us to run multiple tasks at the same time on a single CPU or multiple CPUs. This helps us in accessing the maximum utilization of the resource. Another important feature of Unix is its efficiency. Efficiency to manage memory and CPU. Another important feature is security. Security is not just a feature of Unix, it is inbuilt into Unix. Users have to use usernames and passwords to log in. Even their files have security features. Another feature of Unix is stability. Stability is a hallmark of Unix. It's a very rare case that you would hear anyone saying that a Unix system has ever crashed. It's very stable. It just keeps running and running and running. Portability is one of the fundamental features of Unix. It is this feature that makes Unix available on almost all the hardware platforms that we have. It's available even on small embedded systems as well as on multiple processor systems. Unix comes with a bundle of utilities and commands. These utilities and commands are fondly called the toolbox of Unix. They help us in interacting with the system. You can combine these utilities to create solutions that solve large and complex problems. This is what makes Unix a developer's paradise. Developers love working on Unix. All the tools that they need for their development are available upfront with Unix. You do not have to install anything extra for developing anything on Unix. Everything is inbuilt within Unix. Now let's look at some of the underlying principles of Unix that guide its stability and efficiency. One of the important principles on which Unix has been built is its ease of use. Ease of use of commands and services on Unix. You have simple commands which take less time to type but do many big things. The idea is to type less but do more. Robustness is an underlying principle of Unix. Anything that is built on Unix is tested for robustness. Unix machines are known to be up and running for months and years together without ever needing a reboot. This is a built-in principle of Unix. Another important principle of Unix is its modularity. You can see this modularity not just in the core of the Unix in its kernel, you can also see it in every other solution that it provides. When you build any solution on Unix, you can make use of this modularity to provide better and better solutions to your customers and clients. Another important principle of Unix is its efficient utilization of resources. The main reason for having an operating system is to utilize the resources in an efficient manner. This is an inbuilt principle of Unix. Every module that is built in Unix is built for an efficient utilization of the underlying resources. Security is the basic principle that guides everything on Unix. Anything you do on Unix has a security aspect associated with it. It is not something you add on after providing a solution. It is built inside your design and as part of your solution. There are two main principles that guide Unix. They are simplicity and consistency. Let's look at simplicity first. You can appreciate the principle of simplicity when you can understand how the complexities are encapsulated for the user. Using simple commands, we can access complex hardware devices. They all have the same interface and it's very simple. You can use simple commands like copy to move large files from your hard disk to external storage devices. Unix provides very simple and intuitive command names. Instead of saying COPY for copy, it says use CP. It's very easy. Type less, do more. For renaming and moving files, just type MV. Type less, do more. Very simple. Make things simple for the user. That is what drives Unix commands. Unix follows a principle of do one thing but do it to the best. You take any utility on Unix, it will give you the best performance. It will give you all the features that you need for all the situations that you want. That is why each utility, though very small, it concentrates on one particular feature and it completes it to the fullest extent. All the commands and utilities have built-in collaboration features. They collaborate with each other to create solutions that solve larger problems. Simplicity is the basic principle that guides all aspects of Unix. Another important principle of Unix is its consistency. Consistency of doing things in the same way. The interface that you use has a consistent look and feel for the user. All the commands have a consistent syntax. You will appreciate this when you start using the commands. All the commands have a consistent behavior. Every command has the same way of reporting whether it has successfully completed some operation or reporting errors. There is consistency in everything that the command does. This consistency is an incentive for interpolation. You as a new Unix learner do not have to worry about the various syntaxes that you have to use for different commands. You learn one syntax for one command and you have learned the syntax for almost all the commands. You only need to remember when and where to use the new command. because all commands have a consistent interface. This helps you in providing a better development interface. You can now create solutions or write programs to run on Unix which use the same consistent look and feel. So you do not have to worry about how your program should interact with the user. You should be more worried about the business logic that should run behind your programs. The look and feel is already taken care by Unix. You just have to look at other commands and make your program look similar to it. So these principles of simplicity and consistency is what makes Unix the most loved operating system. Before you even understand these principles, let me reiterate that without practice, you will not be able to master anything on Unix. No matter how many videos you listen to or read text, you will not be able to master Unix unless and until you keep practicing. Practice what you learn, and you will learn and gain more and more knowledge. The more you use Unix, the more you will start falling in love with it. Practice is what makes permanent. Keep practicing. That is the only way you can master Unix. At the end, let's have a quick recap of the important points that we have discussed in this lecture. Unix operating system was built for programmers and was built by programmers. Simplicity and consistency are the key underlying principles that govern Unix. The more you use Unix, the easier it is to master Unix.